There we go. Got the moon out. Looks like somebody just washed the mower. It's 45 degrees and 98% humidity. So just a wee bit of dew this morning. Just about see the water running off the roof. And of course, yeah, get one day that wake up without a sky full of clouds and they're already painting it. They've probably been painting it all along. We just couldn't see any of it. So, see what today brings. I gotta, unless we figure something else, I gotta take Becky to get her back cracked late this morning. But on a plus side, you know, pros and cons to everything. No grandkids tomorrow, which means I'll at least have somebody to help me tomorrow. Oh, here we go. And yes, that's ground fog. See it through there and up there by the gates. I can see it in that draw. Just about as bad as getting 3/4 of an inch of rain on it. Yeah, the sun's still trying to shine, but there's so many freaking chemtrails out there now, it's not funny. It's not near as bright on the floor there as it was. I guess I got you zoomed in 3 times. Sorry about that, but I'm gonna have to get closer this way. I got a little ways to go though, because these need to be close to even. And I might have to take that nut off the bottom and add a spacer, because I'm not sure there's very many threads left there, and I got this one where it's kind of in the middle. I got room to play, and it's actually tightened up with the impact. I need a really deep socket for there. And actually, if they're still around, might even be in Dad's old truck box. We had 1 1/16, 1 1/8, and I think 1 1/4 deep sockets that we'd made for putting duals on tractors way back when. Like they're 12 inches to 18 inches long. That'd be just about right for there, because that's slow going. One flat at a time, that's all I got room for with a wrench. A little easier going if I put the jack up tight against it again, but at this point I can't get slack clear out of it, so it really doesn't make much difference. So now I'm debating, do I put a collar on there, put a bushing on it? Uh-oh, I think I got busted here. Busted! Hey, you. And, oh my gosh.
Double bust.
Yeah, I watched them for a little bit while Ty did some stuff in the house, and she just watered the garden, and
I have an ass load of tomatoes on
oh, there's a lot of tomatoes, but they ain't turning yet.
Actually, they're getting bigger.
Yeah, they're getting bigger.
Tripled in size in last week.
Yeah.
Now
So.
I'm here, the lawn is going.
Figured so.
That one.
Trying to keep things wet here and trying to get them to dry out there. I don't know. Well, out of thread there. One of the same bushings we got on the other corners and we had here. Still sitting in the middle there, but yeah. It's actually about where it used to be, so we're close. And Ty says, well, add another deal down there. That's great. That tail sticking down might hit the floor when we set it down. I don't know yet. And we're still not there. I put another bushing on. put a washer between. I didn't have room to do it to begin with till I ran it up. And the bushings were trying to crush each other. So washers between, but nothing underneath it, because I didn't have room to get it on and get the nut started. This is proving to be a pain in the ass. And here's the thing that I noticed a long time ago. That's why we break them. Because they just didn't make it right. When it's up, it tweaks everything. And it's not like you can do much about it. So, I think I'm going to stop there. I'm going to fire the tractor up so I can take the blocks out and set it down and see if we're hitting the ground or not. Because I really don't know how I'm going to do this otherwise. I really don't. Because if I got to cut that off, then it's going to be too short to actually get everything started and get that spring on and go from there. So, yeah. Too bad New Holland messed that up. Of course, it's too bad we didn't end up with the Allen rake that we were borrowing. Could have had it for the same price we got this for. But they weren't sure they wanted to get rid of it, and then we had a wet fall when when red clover was in the windrow waiting to get combined. And there's a trick on the Allen rakes you can do where you can spin the baskets all the way around. Just pull a pin, and they added a pinhole, and you spin it around, and then it'll work this way as you go through the field. Works great for fluffing windrows up so they'll dry for that. But anyway, yeah. This is proving to be more of a pain in the ass than I expected. Clouds are coming and going. Yeah. That's what I ended up doing. That nut is right up to the end of the threads. And then to get it in, I mean, I knew it. Even with the factory parts, you got to do it. You got to have everything up in the air so you can get it in there. And then you got to set it down some so you can get it in up there. It's there. Now, we'll all see if I'm close enough. Let's find out. Of course, it's hung up on the other one, I think. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it is. Yeah, it is. When it's all the way up, they don't touch that hard, but... So the next step is take it outside where there is no level spot, but take it outside where the ground is somewhat flat, even though it's on a hill. Spread the wings and see where it's setting. Make it set right. And I did throw a washer on there because the little bit I've already done's already chewed the top of that pin up, so washer will help that. And I'm sure I'm gonna have to cut that off because that's just too much hanging down. Cut that off and may either stick another nut up against that and double nut it, or cut it off and tack it just so it can't come loose. Hell, I was thinking it might hang down too far, but yeah. And I'm not sure if it's the way we're sitting because I'm backed up over here or what, but that basket's sitting lower than this one. And they're both all the way down. Yeah, it's the way we're sitting. This tire's down into a little bit of a hole, and the teeth are touching there and not here. I didn't look that far over. My neck didn't turn that far when I looked to the right. But this one's sitting damn level. Only time to find out for sure is once it's in the field. But for right now, maybe raising that one anyway, but we'll see. What I do on the roller bar rakes is I stick my foot under it and see how much it hits. That's actually hitting more. Usually it just comes down on top of my foot. About like the middle of that one probably does, the way it's sitting. But anyway, yeah, that'll make it a little easier if I don't have to cut that off. Let's run another nut up on there and lock it so it can't go anywhere. And I still have a little adjustment. I got quite a bit of thread down below and a little up above, and that's locked down tight. I'd like to have a nylock on that, but I don't have a fine thread nylock 3/4. I don't get any nylocks in 3/4. I lost a couple of supervisors, but I think I still got plenty of them here. Yeah, red's over there. I went ahead and cut 2 inches off. Reason being, the deep socket will fit up to put that jam nut on. It just doesn't need that much hanging down. I thought I'd better put a jam nut on. Be a good idea. And then I thought about putting a tab between the nuts and hanging a chain on it, so that if and when this does break, maybe I'll keep the spring. But I didn't, because I thought, where am I going to hook the frickin' chain? Because there's not room here to hook it, and this is where it would need to be hooked. But the only thing I could do is weld something on here to hook the chain to. Because unfortunately, think how many times we've broken. I mean, they've all been broken on this thing. First year we got it, we replaced all of them because pulled it out in the yard, stretched it out after putting all brand new teeth on it, a whole bunch of new stuff and fixing stuff on it. Had some cracks and that at the front on the outside, stuff like that. And it was way high. I mean, they had to have been raking wheat stubble that was cut high. Previous owners, that is. And went to lower it a little bit, and they all dropped to the end. The threads inside here were gone. Didn't matter how good the threads on the rods were, but the threads on the rods were almost gone where they'd been riding for so long. And that was the first time around. We replaced all of them with the proper part number for the serial number. And the proper part number for the serial number has about that much hanging out the bottom, and a nut that's actually welded onto it. And then it's the same all the way up. And the spring is different, yet it's like half a coil or something different. But that spring's like $50 now. And the spring that's actually proper to the serial number is like $85. So that's a no-brainer when it'll work just fine. And these are the wrong rod for the serial number, but it's turned down with a washer on it. And then we put the spacer on it to get the right length, so they would work. And I want to say, I think that part's even a different, but you hold the two in your hand, they're the same. So why put a different part number on it, and why make it cheaper for the newer one? Didn't make sense. So anyway, that's what we did. So the first time around with part numbers to the serial number, we were over $1,000 in just those parts. We didn't have to do springs. We just did rods, and that piece right there is $250. And the rods, if it ain't $200 now, it's right there. And when you go jump up to the next serial number grouping, the springs are almost half price. The rods are almost half price. And those pieces are almost half price. And they still work just the same. So, and the reason for changing that one is that's the one we always break, because that's the part that's been screwed up the most. Anybody remembers a couple of years ago, I actually ended up, I wanted to take this end off, and I started trying to, but that wasn't going to happen. I want to say, but I didn't. I don't think I did. I was thought about cutting it off in here because that tube runs full length, and then these are supposed to be clocked the same. And if you notice, this one's down just a touch from that one at the other end. That was with blocks and skid steer and using some serious brute force to twist it back a little. And then there's a heavier wall piece of tubing that we forced all the way through and is welded at both ends and spot welded in here, so that it's got over twice the meat on it. And that made a big difference, but we still end up breaking this one off once in a while. So that bolt, it's actually it's a straight U-bolt for truck spring is what it is. It wasn't bent. I want to say we got those for like 20 bucks a piece. May have been less than that. And you're looking at 4 freaking nuts. Big deal. And these pins are soft enough that I wasn't sure I could, and I bored it out last year when we took it apart when it was broken. It was shot, the threads were gone in it by then anyway, so hell with it. Bore it out. If it'll take a 3/4, we can put a 3/4 inch bolt in. And a regular frickin' bolt long enough for that has any threads on the end, they're like 50 bucks a piece. You can afford to add some nuts to them. That, and this gives a little bit more adjustment. Supervisors think something's going on. They're all headed up. So anyway, that's the story on this. Throw some grease on that grease zerk, and Ty did not grease this hub. The zerk's on the front side, because I was kind of in her way when she was greasing earlier. And then this thing's ready to go. And this is, oh, we got more blue sky again. It's getting lighter out. Time I went in for lunch, it was just like this, and then it got darker. And ended up with an extra long lunch because ended up with a phone meeting. It was kind of expected. The guy from the management company that manages the building we have in Portland. In fact, speaking of Becky, she's out for a walk. That's why the dogs ran out. Anyway, we had a meeting with him on the phone. And you're going to get full of grease going underneath there, woman. I could have moved the jack. You could have walked by here. Anyway, say hi, Becky.
21 pounds since the 1st of June.
Oh. She's down 21 pounds since the 1st of June. Yeah. Probably about 10 of that is from recent
Get down.
stuff. So, anyway, had to touch base with him and had a good meeting with him. So, yeah, now I'm going to talk to Becky instead of you. Came in because it's way too humid and plenty warm. That one says 80 degrees, the one in the house says 78 degrees, and it's like 75% humidity. And there was zero wind till I come in. So if I did anything out there, it wasn't going to dry anyway. Now there's a breeze. I didn't get to the tractor. I did kind of look at the baler. And it looks like the next adjustment for height on the hitch is about 4 inches up. And that's not going to happen. So, I'm going to have me a fire salt and chill out. And thank you all for watching. Hope you all had a great Thursday. Hope everybody has a great Friday, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. Yeah, I'll have Ty to be able to do stuff tomorrow. Be really nice to cut some, be really nice to rake some, be really nice to actually have something that'll bale. But and as far as I know, we're still looking at chance of rain by Wednesday. So, it is what it is.